All right. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you're all having a happy Saturday, and welcome to the first episode of the Romcast. And here today with me is the super awesome, super sexy firefighting streamer man himself, Twin A from the A1-Twins. How you doing, bud?
Tired. How are you doing, man?
I hear you. I had my coffee not too long ago, so I'm in the same boat. Though I expect you're probably just a little bit more tired than I am. You said you had a 72-hour shift, or was it 48-hour? What was it?
It was a 48-hour shift, but probably the second craziest shift I've ever worked. Second or third at absolute worst. It was nutty.
Oh, really? So what kind of constitutes as a crazy shift? I'm kind of curious.
I guess it depends on the firefighter's definition to each individual, but for me it's amount of calls and the quality of the calls, because we run 40 calls in 48 hours pretty standardly, which is insane by most fire station standards. But some of the calls might just be, I hate to call it this, but kind of like a bread and butter. It might just be somebody who's just a little high or drunk or something like that, and you don't need to focus as hard because there's no imminent danger.
Right. Right.
But for me, it's having a lot of calls, and all of those calls are potentially chaotic, dangerous, high intensity, stuff like that. And that's what this one was. Every single call was absolutely insane.
Oh, wow.
But stories to tell, I guess.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So it was just basically high thrills back to back for 48 hours. I mean, go ahead.
I was gonna say we're joking that we were gonna set a record because we had 3 first in fires, so three house fires, all just booming.
Oh,
lots of smoke, lots of flame, lots of heat, and it was all back to back to back.
Wow.
So it was from midnight 2 nights ago until noon, I think, or so. We were basically just fighting house fires, and then the day just never slowed down after that too. So good times.
Yeah, no, sounds absolutely wild. I'm amazed you're used to it. I mean, how long have you been a firefighter?
I'm about to hit 7 years.
Oh, wow.
So 7 years as a firefighter.
Well, okay. Well, yeah, I guess if you're not used to it at that point, I don't really think the job's for you then.
Sure.
I'm curious then. So you've been a firefighter for 7 years. Then how long you been streaming for?
I guess actually a little over 3 years. It doesn't feel like that long, but yeah, we hit 3 years pretty recently.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Very nice. And what spurred that decision? What made you want to get into it?
It was actually friends pushing my twin brother and I to stream. Light, who's in chat, he was probably the biggest person being you guys need to stream, you guys need to stream, you guys need to stream. And then one of my best friends, Lewis, was always pushing it, and finally it was one of those that another firefighter who's been a longtime friend of mine and is a friend of Light's from professional Smash Bros days or competitive Smash days. He started streaming, and we were working together one day, and he just told me, it's all right, stop slacking, start streaming, just rip off the Band-Aid and start. And so Ideally, we could have started 7-8 years ago if we had just listened to Light the first time, but just kind of put it off.
Well, it's a funny thing because I was actually in a very similar situation when I started. I started about a little over a year ago, and it was the same deal. Peer pressure from coworkers. One of my coworkers, I swear it's always the people who are into it. I don't know. They got an eye for someone who enjoys streaming. They just keep on pushing because he likes to stream. He likes to stream One Piece, and he asked me if I like to play video games. I'm like, yeah. He says, well, why not stream? I'm like, I don't think I got the personality for it. And he says, well, I mean, worst that happens, you're just doing what you normally do, but you're recording on Twitch. And I mean, I've thought, Well, I'd have to buy a lot of stuff to set it up, but I mean, it's not like I do anything else, so why not give it a go? And then, here we are, a year later, still experimenting with a lot of things. But I mean, I don't regret picking it up though. Great, it's been a great hobby.
I'll say not at all, and it's actually pretty funny because I didn't have a good PC before this, so I had actually hit up a friend of mine who owned a shop that built computers and repaired computers, and asked him if he could give me like a rough price rundown of what it would cost.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, like, the day I decided to start streaming, I texted him and said, all right, let's pull the trigger, and can you build me a PC? When could you have it in by? And it was like 2 days later, he had it set up, and I left work because I was on a different schedule then because I was injured. So I left work at like 5:30, picked up the computer, got home, set it up, and started getting everything ready to stream like that night just to try it.
Yeah. So what was the first game you ever streamed? Or, well, if it was games.
So this is actually a fun little trivia that my brother and I like to ask people. Our first stream wasn't intended to be viewed by anyone because we had no idea what we were doing. The bit rate, we didn't know how to adjust it.
Right.
The microphone, the camera. We didn't even have a microphone. We were using a cheap webcam with an even cheaper mic built in just to test it out. We had no idea what we were doing because I'd like watched some Twitch streams, but I never watched with like intent of learning and replicating. And so the first game we actually played just to test out streaming was a game called Speedrunners.
I've never heard of that game. What is that?
It is so fun. The basic concept is it's a 4-person race, and so you can actually play with 4 people. And we did a lot of that with just friends, like, local, sitting on the couch kind of thing. And your whole task is just to run around a giant loop of a stage. It's 2D, side scroller, if you would. And the more efficient your movements, you've got grappling hooks, you can slide, do stuff like that. And the more efficient you move, the faster and faster you can get your character going. It's very precise, very tricky to hit like some ridiculous speeds, but it made for fun times. And so we were like, all right, well, hey, we'll just boot up Speedrunners, set game Speedrunners, whatever. And this stream was absolutely terrible. We weren't intending to stream. We didn't think we'd get any viewers. A few people popped in. The stream kept crashing. At one point, I accidentally unplugged the PC because I kicked a cord. And we were like, oh God, people, please come back. And despite that, we still got our first official followers that stream. Yeah. It was bad.
You gotta love those beginner days though, because oh my God, I remember when I was still struggling to get my setup perfectly right, and yeah, there were times where I would end up accidentally kicking my the power cord from the PC, for me, my streams are most infamous for internet crashes, because that, like, the last 9 months I was stuck in a place with probably some of the worst internet ever to grace mankind. I think dial-up would have been a better internet option for me, to be honest. Might have been a bit more stable, but it was it's kind of interesting to look back on those days, see how awkward it was at first. Then you slowly but surely get more used to the idea. You get your equipment ready, up and ready. You know how to get it mostly optimal. Yep. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to look back on earlier podcasts, like when somebody shouts me out, they got a clip player going, and I see me from like one of my way earlier ones. I didn't have a green screen. My camera was way shoddier. And it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe I let people see me like this.
I hate going back and seeing the much older clips. And it's funny because most of our original clips are gone. The VODs are gone because at the time we just played whatever music, and now there's the DMCA fear. So I went through and deleted everything, like just or anything that had music playing in it, which was sad. But even still, like, we'll see some really old clips, and I die a little bit inside. I'm like, oh God. I mean, I think about how far the stream has come, but I still can't believe that we would actually stream at my brother's place sometimes with like right in front of his back screen door with the sun directly behind us, just like beating into the camera. And I hate looking back on those days.
You trying to go for the Jesus effect there?
Just the shadowy face, more like the silhouette, like somebody who's in like witness protection or something, like trying to do a stream at the same time with how like static and blurry or like just bad the mic was.
Oh, you could have ran with that. You could have like gone with like the voice modulator, make your voice all deep and distorted, like, "Hey guys, I'm streaming from a witness protection program." Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no.
That would have been a funny concept. I wonder how long that could have lasted.
I mean, it sounds like it'd be fun for at least like a one-off stream, depending. But you never know. I think the most successful. I mean, generally speaking, I feel like content creation is just throwing a bunch of ideas at the wall and then getting popular by accident, more or less.
Yes and no. I will agree that there's a lot of luck involved, but I definitely think that the more and more you work on your content. If you would, there's a motivational quote I love. It says, "The harder I work, the luckier I become." And it's more of that the harder you try to make good content, get yourself out there, do stuff like that, the better off you are. So that's why I've been trying to step it up recently, because there was a phase where I was just doing really, as best I could, unique content, stuff that stands out, and then I just slowly got tired and kind of fell back into guy sits down in chair and plays video games. And I noticed that, in my opinion, the quality of my streams dropped, viewership dropped, everything dropped. And once I started again adding little challenges, anywhere from like doing push-ups on death in Dark Souls, the recent tattoo stream thing that I did, stuff like that, that's when it gives people a reason to stick around and talk about you, and all of a sudden that's where like your stream gets discovered.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. I mean, you definitely have to make your content. I mean, there's definitely a lot to it. You can't. I put it. I remember I watched a couple of videos on that, and they say, if you just sit in front of the camera, press live, and hope for the best. I mean, generally speaking, given how Twitch's algorithm works and discoverability, you're probably not going to get the best results if all you're doing is just sitting down and playing a game. Because, I mean, most everybody on Twitch does that. Like, a lot of people don't understand how difficult it is to really make it as a streamer. Because I think there's over 1 million active accounts on Twitch, and I think maybe I want to say maybe 50% of those are. Maybe a smaller percent are affiliates, and then out of those, you're talking about maybe 4% are partners. I mean, so even when you see like 2 or 3 people you regularly follow, I mean, it's one of those things where different people have different means of success. There's not really a set in stone way, but sometimes you just gotta really you gotta. I mean, you gotta at least, if it's something you're really passionate about, you gotta do more than just the bare minimum. I agree with that.
Yeah, you definitely have to do more than the bare minimum, but there's another thing, because I love to watch those YouTube channels that they are successful and they're trying to help provide the keys to success for you, so you don't have to just sit and figure it out. And one of the other things is, like, unfortunately, if you want to grow on Twitch, you need platforms that are not Twitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Twitch is not discoverable, unfortunately. So
yeah, well, it's funny you say that, because you're making me think of somebody you're making me think of somebody I watch. I don't know if you're familiar with Sebi Webb's TV.
Oh yeah, I know Sebi. He got really successful recently.
Well, yeah. So it all started when he was. So he decided he was going to voice act the entirety of Final Fantasy XIV, which that's been pretty much the only game he's ever streamed ever since he's made it that big. And I think what caused all that was he eventually, I think somewhere in like the Stormblood expansion, he got discovered by a really big YouTuber who featured his content on her channel, which then led her audience to his stream. And that's when he started going from like anywhere from like, maybe 50 to 75 viewer average to like 200 to 400 per stream. And it's just absolutely crazy. And I think it kind of ties into what the general theme is here. like there is a degree of luck, but when you put yourself out there and make your content really good, it's like you make your own luck, as it were. I mean, it's you stand out from the rest, so it's a higher chance that person's going to notice you, recommend your content, and then there you go. And because I mean, his channel turned around in like I think he, as soon as he was discovered, he went partner in like a month and a half. Absolutely wild. Definitely a very inspiring Twitch story, though.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny because Sebi, he's one of those guys that, like, I've rated him. He rated me once, I think. And, but at the time, it was like our viewer counts were relatively similar.
Right.
And then I went like a month not being able to pop into a stream just because keep myself pretty busy. And then I looked back and I was like, what happened? So thanks for telling me that. I had no idea. So good for him.
Yeah, no, that was great. And yeah, no worries. I was consider myself fortunate to have been there when it all went down, because I remember it was like literally the day after it just exploded. I was just like, what on earth happened? And then he explained the whole thing. No, I would love to do like kind of a one-on-one chat with that guy, because he has some great insight on movies and video games and whatnot. Yeah, I love his content. So, but yeah, it's little things like that I think it can. I don't know. I feel like stories like those, they can make the wrong. I think people can learn the wrong lessons from it, though. Like, I think some people, they look at it and say, oh, well, you know, he just got lucky or whatever. And it's like, that's not really the case at all. Dude's been working on his content for a while now. And, you know, he's been constantly stepping up the game. And it just goes to show there is a little luck involved, but, you know, you do what you can to make yourself stand out. And eventually, you know, that luck comes to you. So
that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, imagine how many people the bigger YouTuber watched and went through their content, and nothing stood out. So if Sebi just did the same thing as everybody else, there goes the golden opportunity. So you had to work hard, improve your own stuff, and then that luck can really come into play.
See, don't mind me. Just I noticed a couple more people are coming in. So
I can't help but wave at chat. So that's why, like, if you see me waving chat, it's to you.
Let's see. And actually, so we did get a question from Fortune about 30 minutes ago. I should probably go ahead and ask that one. Fortune thinks I'm just a liar. So you read the question. So you see the question. What's the weirdest call you ever had?
Been on? So this one, I need to figure out how much detail I can include in this without there being the fear of, like, oh, I recognize that story, because it is really, or I might recognize these people. We responded to a call. It was an EMS call, a medical call, where it was somebody fell, which happens. It happens a lot with elderly. It happens, well, mostly elderly. And, you know, they fall, they can't get up, hit their life alert. We respond. We go to this house, and it was a young woman answered the door. She just seemed very kind of meek and quiet, and we were already a little like, okay, like, it just the vibe felt different than usual. We walk in, she leads us to a back bedroom, and we see the tiniest little arm in the world from behind this big bed, just kind of waving at us. And this sweet old lady was just saying, oh, I'm over here. And two of the guys I was working with, one was one of my academy classmates, Mateo, who was like an adult male model kind of guy. Like, he is good looking, strong as an ox. Like, when you picture a firefighter, he's probably like where your mindset will go.
Yeah, he's a firefighting, like, poster
strong, boy. Strong, beautiful, nice guy. Yeah, poster boy, great smile. I love this dude to death. Actually, I need to hit him up for drinks here soon. And he just, like, kind of walks in, does the little strut to turn the corner. Oh, and the other guy that I was working with was one of our academy instructors. My fire academy was a boot camp. The instructors are military. It's very paramilitary. setup.
Right.
It was brutal, and this guy was our enforcer. He was an MMA fighter for years. He was in the WWE for some time. Like, he is a specimen of fitness and strength. So I'm working with these two really strong guys. And so Mateo goes around the corner of the bed, and he just freezes, and his eyes go really wide. And I was like, okay, what the heck? And then our instructor, who we were working with that day, he goes and turns the corner, and he just pauses. I'm like, okay, come on, guys, let's get her up. Like, her wrist that I saw was like the size of two of my fingers put together. Like, she looked so tiny. And I turned the corner, and this poor lady had, I assume it was edema, but there could be other underlying things. Like, it was extreme. From her waist up was like the body of like an 80 or 90 pound lady, just really, really tiny. Hips down, however, was like the body of a 400 pound person.
What?
Like, it was one of the strangest things I've seen. And she's just waving. We're like, okay, let's get her up. So somebody got behind her. I grabbed a leg. Somebody grabbed another leg, and those legs were heavy. But while this was going on, some different people kept like running in and out of the room. And these were adults, but they'd like run in, look, freak out, run out. And it turns out it was a home for people with disabilities.
Oh, okay.
And they were curious about what was going on, and we had no idea at the time. So every time I turned around, there was somebody new just standing right behind me, like inches from my face, trying to see what was going on, and then sprinting out. So that was different, but not to take anything away from them or speak ill. You know, they all seemed very, very sweet. We get her back on the bed, and that was tricky because it was, her legs were heavy. But and I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time explaining this because there's certain details I really need to make sure I leave out, just in case.
No, you're fine.
We help her out. People are still sprinting in and out, and yelling and getting excited. And while we're leaving, my instructor, and again, this is a big like WWE wrestler kind of guy, like huge dude. We're walking down the hall. We've got our EMS bags. We're just trying to leave so we can go to the next one. And he looks into a room, and he just freezes. And the guy looks just like pale, frozen for a second. And we call him Z. So I'm like, all right, Z, what are we doing? And I go to like kind of push him and try to move him. And I look in this room, and it was a pretty big room. Probably the biggest room in this house, honestly. And wall to wall, floor to ceiling, was filled with porcelain dolls, like the creepy porcelain dolls.
God.
And they were all staring directly at us. And it felt like something out of The Conjuring or a horror movie. And even I was just like stuck. I wanted to get out of there so bad. God. And it was so creepy. And then that's when Z pointed out, he's like, hey, do you notice that there's no TVs anywhere in this house? No radios, no nothing, just porcelain dolls.
Oh my God.
Like, oh God. And we got out of there, but had to go back again later because unfortunately, so we, like, while our lieutenant was like writing down this lady's medications for his chart,
right?
She keeps them in one spot. He'd pick it up. He'd move it to a slightly different spot just to go through the list.
Yeah.
And she accused us of stealing her medication, so we had to go back and make sure that was all sorted out. And I was like, I don't want to go back in there. Please don't go back in there.
Oh my God.
So it was there, and the saddest thing is that there was some really, really, really weird stuff that also happened there. But unfortunately, it's one of those I'm like, I don't want to disclose it for fear of somebody like in chat, as unlikely as it is, they might go like, oh, that sounds like so-and-so's house.
Yeah. No, I understand. I mean, you never can be too careful with that sort of thing, but that is surreal. I mean, like, I thought the anatomy, I had never even heard of that condition before. What'd you call it? Edema or something like that?
Oh, okay. So what edema is when your heart starts having, to keep it very simple, if your heart starts having some issues, CHF, congestive heart failure, being a big example of it, it's not it's not as strong, so it can't push the fluids, can't push the blood through your whole body and then all the ways back up.
Okay.
Which is what it does. Like the heart, as you know, squeezes.
Right.
Everything goes out and then it expands because it fills back up again with more. Lungs oxygenate the blood, squeeze, it goes back through.
Right.
So you got your blood pressure, so you got everything like that. So if the heart's not kicking as much or as hard as it should,
right,
everything goes, but it has a much more difficult time coming back. Can't fight the gravity as much, and so it starts kind of pulling in the legs, and that's where you see elderly people maybe with kind of like fatter feet than you would expect, or slightly bigger legs that look a little more swollen. That's called edema or pedal edema in that case. And so that is really, really common.
Okay.
Like I see that a lot, but this case was extreme. There's actually a picture that I love, and it has to do with fitness, but it shows like a marble statue where the upper half is fit, and they're literally sculpting themselves out of marble, trying to show that like they're shedding weight, they're training, they're making themselves the best they can. But it looked like that, where the upper half was sculpted and the lower half was not yet, and it was fascinating. I really want to know what the exact condition was, but
yeah, yeah, no, like, I mean, so when you put it like that, that makes more sense. Like, I've heard of less severe cases, but like this was like, this almost seems like, not to take away from the condition, but like that, I've never heard of distortion, like body distortion on a level like that before, right? Where you're almost describing like it's almost like, I don't know, that sounds like something out of like a horror movie or something like that. On top of the porcelain doll thing, that's just absolutely crazy. Yeah. What a surreal experience. The doll thing was
definitely the worst part of that whole thing, though.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a thing. Yeah. And then I saw you had another couple.
Yeah, we got another couple questions. So yeah, if you don't mind talking about what was your most stressful mission?
Actually, yes. I can tell you exactly what it was, because until a little less than a year ago, I always had like the same two examples that I would say, and both had to do with, of course, firefighting. One was being on, so our ladder trucks that you'll see them next time you're seeing fire trucks go by. Look for one that looks like it has a giant ladder sitting on top of it.
Okay.
And those ladders extend to about 115 feet. And
yeah, like
normally I'd tell people it's when I was hanging over one that was going directly over a building on fire, and it felt like it was going to break.
Yeah.
But like I've had stuff collapse on me inside burning buildings. I've been disoriented and lost inside a burning building, which is stressful because unlike the movies, you can't see anything. It is dark, it is black, it is hot, and it's so easy to get lost. But actually, the scariest thing that ever happened to me was when I wasn't the one inside the fire.
Oh, really?
We were responding out to, actually it was another, so 17 Alpha is how we code it, but a fall, like old person fell.
Okay.
We're driving down the road, and blocks from our fire station, we see thick, black, just booming smoke, clearly a structure fire. So we turn around and we drive to that, and we let our alarm room know, like, hey, we're gonna go investigate this before we go on the call. Something seems wrong. Get there, and we have these series of apartments kind of close to our station, but they're lined up as single story, and I forget what the exact term is, but basically it's almost like they're dashes in a row, like apartment complexes that are 4 deep, and there's just lines of 4 apartments connected to each other. And amongst those, 4 of the entire buildings were all caught on fire. So 16 like apartments in total.
Whoa.
And these apartments all had like 2 bedrooms or bathrooms, all that good stuff. So we go there. We're going to be alone for a while. It's going to take other crews a minute to respond.
Wow.
my lieutenant, and he was with 2 rookies at the time. One rookie was ours, and he was very well trained and working hard, and the other one was a little scared and a little meek about it, but absolutely did her best. We all crushed it. But they go stretch a hose line, start trying to fight the fire as best they can. I know that the water that we have on the truck our truck holds 500 gallons of water, but that's a matter of minutes. Once they start spraying, they're going to run out of water like that, and the water is their lifeline. No water, they can get trapped. Something bad can happen. So I grab it's 5-inch diameter hose line that connects to fire hydrants, and that's heavy. Every section of it is 109 pounds. It's dragging on the ground. I see there's like a hydrant about 300 yards away, or 300 feet away. So I grab this hose line and I start sprinting. Felt, like so much adrenaline pumping through that like the weight of it didn't bother. I'm just going. Get to the hydrant, start trying to clean up. Oh, I should emphasize my role as the driver when we're the first one there is that I'm almost like playing support in a multiplayer game.
Okay.
I'm the one that stays at the truck, that makes sure they get the water they need. I get them the hose lines. I get them the water. I set up the ladders outside. I do all this stuff you can imagine has to take place outside the building to make sure they're good inside.
So you're basically the grease that keeps the wheels turning on that operation.
Yeah, okay, that's a way to put it. I'm going to tell them that next time.
Okay.
Because we always crack jokes at each other about it. But so here I am, just the term, and I'm sorry if this is mildly inappropriate, but the term is called handjacking. I'm handjacking 300-400 feet of this really heavy hose line, dragging it along the asphalt and running. And right when I get to the hydrant, I should also say the apartments had a really small parking lot, and everybody in this complex was outside of their apartments, but they wouldn't leave the parking lot. So I'm parked in the road. There's all these people in between the truck and the fire, just watching in fascination.
Oh my God.
And I'm trying to yell at them. It's like, you guys need to leave. Get out, get away. I'm pulling this 5-inch, and right when I'm about to get to the hydrant to start going through, I just saw Fortune comment. As I'm starting to like hook it up and make sure that they can have water, all of a sudden there's a really, really loud explosion. Like deafening, rattled me to my core. And kind of like horror movies or action movies, everybody that was out there started screaming, panicking, sprinting away. Like some guy ran into me, and like I had to take some steps back. They were freaking out, and in that moment, I thought, oh my God, my crew is dead, because they were inside that fire. And then there was another loud explosion. And so at that point, my job is to get the rest of my gear on and go try to grab them, because there's still nobody else here but us. The other truck in my station, which is a rescue, so it's 2 people on an ambulance, just pulled up, and like we're getting ready as the explosions were going off. So I'm sprinting back, about to get my gear, and deep down I was like, oh my God, my crew just died. Single worst feeling in the world. And it has kind of a funny thing that happened though, because right after that, my lieutenant gets on the radio and tells everybody coming in to make sure they stage or park further away. There's explosions, and what it was there's a lot of elderly that live in these apartments, and they have oxygen tanks there. People have a lot of propane tanks.
Okay.
And so the fire got to those, and those were exploding. They narrowly avoided being next to them, managed to get out, and he was saying like, we have to go defensive. Nobody go inside yet. There's explosions.
Right.
And as he's coming out and saying that, he sees me not next to the truck, not next to the hydrant, because I was sprinting back when he said that. And he yells at me, what the F are you doing? Run your effing truck. Because like the adrenaline was pumping, and I was like, I thought you died. I thought you effing died. It turns out he bought a helmet camera so he can record like firefighting for training and stuff like that in the future. And it was all caught on camera. Interaction. And so the highest up chiefs saw it. Other department. Well, no, they edited it before they sent it to other departments. But like all the other stations, like that clip was kind of circulating as like a small little mini viral thing in Harlem. It's like these explosions are going on. It's the biggest fire of the year, and here's the lieutenant and his driver cussing at each other. To laugh about it.
Well, at least your crew ended up being okay, though. I think that's the big takeaway here, because
I'm super appreciative of that.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. That's absolutely crazy. That's a wild story, though. I didn't like. It's funny you say that, because I know people have a really bad habit of rubbernecking when it comes to events like that, because they want to get it on camera, they want to get it on their phone. Like, really, like, self-preservation almost takes a backseat to internet clout sometimes with these types of events. And then, you got emergency services, they're trying to do their thing, and then they don't get out of the way, and I imagine it was just one thing piling on top of the other from what you're telling me. So I guess that actually makes me think. I know Pac-Man asked a question. I'll get to that in a second, but I do. So I saw a news clip the other day about apparently this dude parked in a red spot right next to a fire hydrant. So the fire department busted out his windows so they could run the hose through his car attached to the fire hydrant. I'm kind of curious. Have you guys? How often do you guys have issues with that sort of thing, if ever?
Not as often. At least definitely not with a fire. I haven't had to break out any windows. And the reason why that is actually somewhat viable and has to be done is because that is a big hose. I said it's 109, 110 pounds when it has no water in it.
Right.
It weighs somewhere between 900 and 1,000 pounds when there's water flowing through it. And it has to stretch out and go straight and get the kinks out. And if there's a car parked there, it can't do that.
Right.
There's some viability to that. But what has happened is that cars will park like that when we're going to an emergency scene, a medical scene where, hey, we need to park here, and they're parked in front. So instead, what we might do is like, well, they're here, that's on them, is like, I'll pull right in front of them, like at an angle. The next in truck is like, well, we got to park here too. Gets right behind him. Now it's like, well, you chose to park here. You're waiting here until we're done with what we're doing.
Right.
Like, that's on you now. I hope you're not in a hurry to get somewhere. Hey, I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, that's happened. Like, people, blocking people in like that is a pretty common thing. I wanted to actually touch up on the concept of, you said how people, they want to see what's going on, rubbernecking, internet clout, filming, stuff like that. Guys, if you're driving, don't slow down because you see an accident.
Oh my God.
You're just going to cause another one, because last night I almost got smacked by a car, despite the fact that I positioned the big fire truck at an angle, blocking multiple lanes to make sure that nobody look at the accident, doesn't accidentally hit us. And despite that, somebody drove by the fire truck, decided to turn at the first possible second, turn alongside the truck, and almost hit me.
Jeez.
I was mad. And there was another instance when I was a rookie that happened, and their side mirror caught me on my side.
My God.
Because they were too busy trying to stare at the car accident going on. And it's like, guys, that has killed firefighters in the past. Pay attention to the road. It's just a car accident. There's nothing crazy going on.
Right.
Go about your day. And stop slowing down traffic because you have to hit the brakes and see what's going on.
Yeah. I'm not a firefighter, obviously, but I can relate to that so hard. I can't count the amount of times that I've been running late for something because I swear everybody and their mother they have to gaze at that wreckage for as long as possible. It's like, guys, it's not that spectacular. Just keep driving. Like, I understand if it's blocking traffic, but if it's out of the way, y'all gotta go. It is really one of the most annoying things. It's just time and place, people.
Yes, exactly. everybody wants to know what's going on. Everybody wants to take pictures. Everyone wants to see, and it's like there's no point. Just go about your day. Go get to where you need to go.
Yeah, just.
I'm sorry. You said somebody else had another question.
Yeah. We were gonna get to Pac-Man's question. What are some common misconceptions people have about firefighters? Like some archetype in movies or something that isn't really accurate. I imagine there's probably a whole host of those.
Okay, so I already kind of said one earlier, and that's like if you watch your typical fire movies, Backdraft, or like if you watch 911 or Station 19, Chicago Fire, any of those, there's always scenes where they're inside a burning building with like their jackets wide open, no face piece on, they're having a casual conversation with fire right next to them. No, so fire, as we all know, creates smoke.
Right.
And that smoke usually doesn't have enough enough means of exiting a building. So buildings that are on fire are hot, hundreds and hundreds of degrees.
Yeah.
And it's filled with that smoke. So like I can't see like in front of my face more than 3-4 inches sometimes. That's with flashlights and stuff like that. And then when you find the seat of the fire, it might be an entire room on fire, and it just looks at first like a little glow, like a little dot, and it is really, really hot, and you're like, oh, we found the fire, guys. And the next thing you know, it's like the whole room just lights up bright, but you're wanting to lay down on the ground because it's 1,000 degrees in there. Family Guy had a great interaction I love to share with people. But yeah, so that's one of the common ones I like to dispel is like, yeah, if you're in there, you're not having a nice, fun, easy conversation, not on air. You are cooking, you can't breathe, it's hot. And if you don't have any gear on, you're not breathing right now, and you're probably in really bad shape.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And another kind of common misconception, more on the individual side, is that firefighters are all shapes and walks of life. They're like the traditional one is it's like your farmers, your man's man, rough of the land. I do construction. I own a farm.
Right.
I do this. Like, what's a video game? We don't have time for that. But truthfully, there's also your video gamers.
Of course.
Super nerds. You've got your shy, awkward introverts, your type A personalities that are go-getters. When it comes to religion, politics, everything, every walk of life is found in firefighters. So it's just always kind of funny that like they're always put into the one kind of stereotype, and in reality, like we're all just so different, and I love it.
So have you ever had I'm guessing your coworkers, people probably come up to your coworkers and say, "Oh, you're a firefighter? I never would have guessed that." Is that kind of what you're referring to?
Well, I mean, if you look at the guys that I work with, yes, they look like firefighters.
Okay.
It's like, okay, that makes sense. It's actually more on my end that they're like, you? Because, I'll be talking about like, oh, the stream later, and oh, I've played this game, and I'm talking about Marvel movies and, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, comics, whatever. And I'm doing it wearing like a Fill the Boot firefighting t-shirt, and it's just like, you? I'm like, yes, me. And then, like the guys I work with are all, like athletic specimen who are brilliant and just hardworking individuals, and it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I absolutely see it with them.
It's kind of funny you say that, because I've noticed like over time it seems like there's a lot of people who or I should say, kind of the attitude towards nerdy interests has radically changed over the past, I'd say 20, 30 years. So like when I was growing up in the early 2000s, right? So I liked video games before it was cool. I was one of those guys where I would annoy my friends talking about video games because it wasn't cool to be a gamer. It wasn't cool to be into comic books. Like I read like early Spider-Man comics. I was super into that shit. And then, it was one of those things where you, and it's one of those things where, you get called a nerd. People don't really talk to you very much. Your friends try to tell you to distance yourself from it, your family sometimes. And nowadays, like literally everybody, it's not cool to not like those things or to think they're overrated. It's just kind of interesting how it really shifts, and you maybe deep down a lot of those people that you normally wouldn't expect are actually super into it now. I just think it's kind of funny how the times changed over the years. I think people just weren't ready for. I think some people just weren't ready for that kind of nerdy age, I guess, as it were. I'm trying to find the right way to describe it, but I think you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, no, and actually I was talking about this morning while waiting for my relief to get to the fire station. Was like, yeah, I played games back when it wasn't cool. You know, we'd go shopping at Walmart, Albertsons, anything like that, and my brother and I would run to the magazine aisle to find the video or the cheat codes for what we're trying to play and write it down, and like got picked on for it. And I'm so glad we're approaching a much more accepting age with not just video games but everything in general. Like it's okay to like what you like. You're not harming others. You just want to play games. You want to watch Marvel. You want to, you know, do whatever like that. It's like, okay, cool. And so if I was a firefighter like 20 years ago, probably wouldn't have flown as well. But now it's like, oh, hey, well, do you happen to have Mario Kart? I'm like, I do have Mario Kart. And all of a sudden, these non-nerdy guys are sitting around at a fire station playing Mario Kart, cussing each other out. Because, you know, everybody's a little nerdy at times, and that is okay.
Of course.
I love it.
No, that's cool though. I'm glad y'all got like it's cool that y'all are really, really close to each other. But I guess in a sense, it sounds like based on what you're telling me, it sounds like being a firefighter is actually kind of has that same atmosphere as kind of being military. You build it, you get very close to your team. There's a lot of camaraderie built. I think key difference is that I'm guessing you're stuck with your squad basically for life, or as long as you're there.
So, yes and no. So how we, if you don't mind,
sure.
How my department functions. So I'm in a larger department. You'll find that most are like 2 fire stations staffed by like a total of 30 people or something, or volunteers, and nothing wrong with that. Mine is close to 1,000 individuals. We're one of the busiest fire departments in the country, and I'm at one of the busiest fire stations in the country, busiest in my department.
Okay.
But we work together 48 hours straight. So we live together, eat together, do everything together for 2 days straight out of every week. And but then every year, based on our seniority and our rank, you can bid to go to a different spot. And a lot of people do it because as their seniority increases, they want to go somewhere slower, a little more mellow, get some downtime. There are some stations that are so slow that like they start the cycle off arguing about like, okay, what show are we going to binge watch today? Like, hey, this new one came out, it's 10 episodes. We'll have 48 hours of doing nothing but running a few calls and watching TV. Let's watch this one. Us, on the other hand, I'm going to quote our former rookie. He always said, like, we like the smoke, we want the smoke. But despite all of us having good seniority, we choose to stay at this busy spot, and we choose to stay together. I think on the last bids, we were the only crew that actually all stayed, every single one of us together, because we want to be busy, we want to help as many people as we can, and we love working together. I love my crew. I'd do anything for them.
Okay, and it looks like we got a question from Sevi, actually. Do you watch any shows with firefighting? Is it accurate?
Okay, actually, she? I'm assuming. Sorry.
Yeah, she.
Sorry. Reminded me of somebody just said Family Guy. I love showing the bit in Family Guy where they're doing a tour of a fire station and the guy says like, oh, back in the day we didn't have fire hoses and stuff. We had to fight fire the good old fashioned way with our fists. And he lights a fire and they start boxing.
Oh man.
I don't know. I freaking love that clip. Are firefighting shows accurate? No.
Of course not.
Apparently there was what was it? Rescue Me. I've never seen Rescue Me, but some of the guys told me like how they depict station life was the closest to accurate that they've seen.
Okay.
But no, so I watched like season 1 of 911. We actually watched that at my former fire station, it made for good drama, but we saw it more as like a comedy, because it. Oh God, where to start? Like the first episode starts off with their rookie who's only been in the field for a few months, in one of the trucks to go hook up with a girl that he met on Tinder.
Oh boy,
he didn't get fired. Like so many things that go wrong. The chest compression, CPR, how they run medical scenes, fire scenes, things like I talked to you about, where it's like they're inside a burning building, standing right next to the fire, holding a hose line, and they're talking about like, okay, we need to go do this. It's like you put the wet stuff on the hot stuff. There's fire. You have a hose line with water. Put the water on the fire. You would, but it also doesn't make for good TV, because if everybody's in their masks, SCBA's, the self-contained breathing apparatus, those are loud. You kind of sound like Darth Vader, but you're having to scream over like the air that's being like sent through your mask. The fire's loud. Everything going on is loud. So it's just like that doesn't make for good TV.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I was going to say, well, that's usually how Hollywood operates, or, any media really, where they try to depict an organization like firefighting, police force, military, etc. It's like there's always going to be a lot of Hollywoodized elements in there, because if you show it's like hacking, actually. Like, so hacking is so wrong in the movies, because they think it's like, sunglasses, a trench coat, green screen, Matrix, all that shit. It is really just use. It looks no different than just a guy sitting at his office typing shit up, and then things happen that you don't see, right? Like traffic lights don't magically change when you input commands, all that. It's actually a very long and tedious process that of course they have to make something up to engage, because unless you want to make the most boring film ever made and not make any money, that's just how it goes. But it's actually kind of interesting that you mentioned how they get a lot of that wrong, because I remember an interesting little piece of trivia. It wasn't from a firefighting movie, but I don't know if you've ever seen The Shining with Jack Nicholson.
It's been a long time, but yeah.
Okay. So it's actually interesting because so you probably remember the scene where he's axing the door and he like puts his face and he's like, "Here's Johnny." Yeah. So it actually turns out they actually had to do a reshoot of that scene, because what they didn't know was Jack Nicholson was a volunteer firefighter. And so they had that fake door on there that they would normally use for, I guess, the prop door. And so he swings at that sucker and just knocks it off its hinges on the first swing. So they had to replace it with a real door. It was kind of interesting. I didn't realize it was for starters, I didn't realize with the right technique you could plow through just about any door like that. I guess it makes sense, but
I was gonna say, I've got a fun little firefighting trivia bit for you then, or like just a fun little fact.
Sure.
It's not hard to plow through a door like that. The technique to get through it is actually very, very easy.
Oh, okay.
The hard thing to do is, especially with certain doors, is to force the door open, doing as little damage as possible. That's actually what we try to do. Not just with like, we had to break open a door yesterday because a patient fell and hurt themselves. They couldn't get up. Nobody had a key. There was no spare key. There was no way into this apartment. So we had to force the door open to get in there and help her. But we had to do it in such a way that it could at least appear from the outside it was closed, because we don't want somebody walking by, seeing a busted door, deciding I'm going to go rob this old lady. But it also is the same for when we're trying to force a door open to go fight a fire, because what we want to do is control the flow of air or oxygen that gets into this building. As you may or may not know, there's basically three core components that a fire needs to survive: heat, fuel, and oxygen.
Right.
If we keep introducing more oxygen, unnecessarily, the fire is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So when we force the door, we have to make sure we do it in such a way that we can actually partially close it. So we're not needlessly introducing more oxygen into the building.
Okay, that's actually very interesting. I wasn't aware that was part of the technique that went into firefighting. So, because I mean, like I said, all I've ever really seen from firefighting is just spray a little water on it and then you're good to go. But that's actually that's a really interesting piece of knowledge. And I guess my thing is I'm kind of curious. So with firefighting being such a large part of your life, and with content, so what I'm wondering is, how on earth do you find the time to stream firefight and make TikToks, which are most of those are pretty elaborate? Like, how do you manage that? That just sounds like you're running nonstop, basically.
Yeah, basically. I try to give myself some downtime, but it takes a lot. And unfortunately, there's a lot of TikToks I want to film at the fire station. And whenever I work overtimes, because I do that too, so I'll work 72-hour shifts. I'll pick up an extra 24-hour shift. If I go to a slower spot, that's when I'm like, oh, sweet, I'll have downtime. I can knock out some TikToks. I've gotten pretty proficient at doing everything in 1 or 2 takes when it comes to filming stuff. Because I don't have time, because I edit a lot of the videos. I'll set up stuff before every stream. I try to do something, or every day I try to do at least one little thing to improve the quality of the stream. Maybe fix the camera, get a new alert set up, come up with a new scene, a new concept for something fun I'm going to do. And I don't really get a whole lot of downtime, because I also go to the gym, I work out, I try to keep up with my fitness.
Yeah, and that's another aspect. It's it seems like you barely ever get any sort of downtime. I mean, you're making me feel super lazy over here, actually. You're just cranking them out, man. All right, we actually got another question from Wolf of the Apocalypse. Welcome in.
Wolf.
Similar to the last question, what are your thoughts, opinions on docuseries style shows, i.e. Live Rescue, First Responders Live?
Ooh, great question, actually, because we're all excited but a little nervous. Apparently, we're about to have our 100th cadet class come through, and again, our fire academy is one of the hardest in the nation to get through. I'd heard top 5. I don't know the exact validity or exact number, but it is not easy to graduate from our fire academy. It is strenuous, difficult, longest 20 weeks of your life.
20 weeks, holy shit.
Oh yeah, and Light, who might be in chat, can tell you, because we were roommates when I went through the fire academy, but he and our other roommates would have to meet me at the front door and help me carry my bags and help carry me up the stairs, because I was on the second floor of that house and I just didn't have the strength to climb the stairs. And then I'd have to wash all the clothes, recopy all my notes, do all kinds of stuff that basically we got to stay at home and not at, the academy or anything, but they gave us so much to do that I'm going to bed at 1, 2 a.m. and waking up at 5 to go do it all over again. But because we're about to hit our 100th cadet class, there's a documentary crew, I guess, that wants to take part of that and film it and then follow the rookies through their rookie year that graduates. We're like, oh crap, that's cool. Let's not get any rookies to our station. We mess around a lot with each other. We play pranks on each other. We do stuff like that.
Right.
And it's it's always in good fun. We're never spiteful to us, to any rookies that float in. We always try to be helpful, but it's let's not record what we do. But I do love the concept of a documentary crew running around and filming, because it adds that sense of realism to what you're watching. There are a lot of things that people see on TV that's over dramatized, and they think, oh, this is how it is. Or they'll think, these guys go to work, sit on the couch, watch TV, get called heroes, and go home.
Yeah, that's far from it.
Yeah. And so it's really nice that they do that. So that you can see oh crap, here's a really, really crappy situation that happens, and now these guys have to deal with it, deal with the stress that comes from it, the PTSD, possibly the coping mechanisms that some firefighters turn to. But instead of going down that really tragic route, I will say this, another fun little trivia fact.
Okay.
The footage that we had from 9/11 of the first plane crashing into the first tower was because there was a documentary crew that was following a New York City firefighter through his fire academy, then all of his probation. And because he was on shift that day and they were filming him while he was responding to a call.
Yeah.
They happened to see like, hey, that plane is acting really funny, and the camera happened to go up and catch it, and that is the only reason we have video footage of the first plane going in, was because of a docu-series about a firefighter.
Wow, and that is absolutely wild. Imagine being at. I don't know if I should call it the right place at the right time or the wrong place at the wrong time, because it's a little of both, I would think. Being so close to the Twin Towers at that time. But that's absolutely wild, though. So I imagine, based on what you're telling me, it seems like, though, if they're going to be doing a documentary on your fire station, which you're saying you're the busiest fire station in the country.
Well, it's the whole department.
Or the whole department.
We're just trying to jokingly keep them out of our station.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it sounds like based on what you're telling me, yours is probably closer to what people imagine a typical firefighter life is compared to some of the less busier ones.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Right, just because you're always busy all the time, you've got the most high stress situations. You kind of have that camaraderie, that brotherhood, doing all that dangerous stuff. I'm not saying it's exactly true to life, but I could kind of see where I could kind of see where it's more of a case by case basis thing. In your case, you've got to deal with house fires and life threatening situations all the time. Though the methods at which you do it are probably a lot different than how they're portrayed. But
I think that's a good way to put it. The methods and what actually, like, the situations are real, how they're handled are different.
Right.
And because we're at such a busy spot with so much going on, we definitely experience it more often, especially like the lack of sleep aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
This cycle hurt. This was an exhausting one.
So
sorry, real quick. I told the guys. So last week I never make plans for like the first 5 hours that I get off work. My plan is go home, sleep, recover a bit, then I can be functioning. Last week I had important stuff to take care of once I got off work. We ran like 8 or 9 calls after midnight the second night. Stayed up all night, just running crazy calls. I was exhausted. I was like, all right, guys, that one's on me. And then today I set the plans for this. And my whole station is meeting up later today for a surprise birthday party for our lieutenant. So I'm like, okay, I have plans the morning after I get off work.
Oh, no.
We ran like crazy. I'm like, all right, this one's also on me. Sorry, boys.
And then I come calling and I say, hey, want to be part of the podcast right after work?
I was I got a short nap and I feel better.
Yeah, no, I really am appreciative of you coming on. I'm just messing around a little bit, but so I guess going back to the topic of streaming, do you have any long-term goals with streaming?
So I'll explain the two big steps that I have right now, or two big goals that I want to reach. I'm a guy that I love to set little obtainable goals. But whenever I was getting my bachelor's in accounting, there was a lesson I was taught that was called BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals. When you're doing all these little goals, you need to have a big, insane goal off in the distance that you're sprinting towards. And so those two big goals for me are, first, partner. I really want to hit partner. And like there was a time frame that I felt like we were getting closer, but we were just playing one series of game at the time. And then because we're variety, numbers kind of dipped a bit, which is fine. But partner is the first goal. The second goal is to get the stream. Sorry,
you're good.
Allergies. Is to get the stream big enough that if my brother chose, because we're a twin stream, we could just do full-time streaming and be fine off of just streaming.
Right.
And then like he mostly runs the account, and I just come in to stream when I can.
Okay.
Basically, for me, nothing would change. It would just have him behind the camera more often than not.
Okay.
Because I don't know, his job is. It's a job, but
right.
If I could never quit firefighting to just stream. I love firefighting too much.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see him be able to just focus on streaming.
Yeah, I've noticed that's a pretty common goal. That's a pretty common goal for a lot of streamers, especially the ones that are really passionate about it. I think, partner and being full-time streamers. And I think that's, and I think it's both, I think it's a double-edged sword when it comes to having those as a goal. Because I think the thing about reaching, nothing wrong with aiming for partner, don't get me wrong, but I think it's interesting that, when you hit partner, I think the big question is, now what? Right? Because there's not really an afterward. So I feel like I see what you're saying. You got to go for that big hairy goal. I feel like there should be some sort of secondary reason for it though, besides just, reaching that check mark. Because at that point, then you gotta find another reason to be motivated for it, which in your case would be full-time streaming. But even theoretically after that, then there's another, like, now what? Like, do I do it because, like, what keeps you going? Because it reminds me of a book I read a few years back called it was called Everything's Fucked, a book about hope.
I've heard of that book.
Oh, it's an interesting book. I liked his last book a little better, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Great read. Great for self-motivation. Pretty much army required reading. Just about every friend of mine from my old training camp was telling me I had to read the book, and I'm like, all right, I'll get the book when I graduate, and I get it, and I get through in like a week because I'm taking the time to process each chapter bit by bit, and it's and one of the things that I think really stuck out to me was the importance, I think, of not just setting goals but prioritizing what's important to you in life. So a great story that really stuck out to me. Yeah, Pac-Man, he does. He has a great sense of humor for titles. And the thing that stuck out to me was his story about two people that came from famous bands that had different goals. So one guy, for example, he gets kicked out of a band right before they're about to go on their first major tour. Like they finally made it big, and at the last possible second, he gets kicked out. So he takes the long bus home. At the end of the bus ride, he says he's going to make a bigger and better band. He's going to be so big that those other guys he's going to be wiping their tears off with $100 bills and stuff like that. And as it turns out, the guy in question went on to found Megadeth. So
it's talking about Dave Mustaine.
Yeah. So you have heard this story.
I know the story, but I was going to say you're either talking about him or the movie The Rocker.
I haven't seen the movie The Rocker, and I'm terrible with names, so I only call him like that guy. But it sounds like you're already familiar with it, so then that whenever he's interviewed, like despite his massive success with Megadeth, he still feels like a failure. Because he made his whole purpose trying to outdo his old band, which ended up being Metallica.
Yep.
Right. And, and it's just wild to me that in spite of all that success, it's like, because you see it as a competition to do better rather than focusing on oneself, it just completely undermines that. And to him, it undermines any sense of self-accomplishment or achievement. And then on the other hand, you have a guy that got, I don't know if you heard this story. There was a guy that got kicked out of the Beatles right before they went big. He was the old drummer for them. And
I feel like I kind of heard about this, but go on.
Okay. So, unlike the Megadeth founder, I already forgot his name. Like I said, terrible with him. But, but then he, after he got kicked out of the Beatles for being too popular, I guess, he decided to just settle down and have a family, and he moved on with his life rather than trying to go back to where he ended up being or trying to get back at his team. He decided to focus on himself got married, got a family, got a nice job, and to him that was all that mattered, and he was happy with it. And I think that's the important thing that I think a lot of streamers miss out on, because I know there are some streamers, they are obsessed with getting that check mark or something. And because I know I've been there, I've been to that point where it's like, I wonder if my content is good, and it's so easy for streaming to wreck your self-esteem. Like out of any passion project, I'd say streaming is just one of those things. I've seen people have so many nervous breakdowns, so many just absolute valleys of low self-confidence. And I think it's kind of one of those things, you have to figure out what you really want. And I think you also have to keep your expectations somewhat reasonable. Like, it's good to have aspirations, but you also need to understand that it might not work out the way you want it to. And yeah, I think it's just something that I guess you just gotta be realistic about, in my opinion.
I was going to say, I agree. I'd heard the idea of like, you shouldn't try to focus on like, I'm going to be successful and this is it. Like, try to build up to that, but don't rely on that concept until you've actually come within like that little step needed of it.
Yeah.
Because for me personally, my happiness is not tied on the growth of my stream or the growth on social media, stuff like that. Like, it's a fun project that I'm pouring my all into.
Yeah.
But I don't, like, my happiness comes from the fact that I get to stream. Like, I go to work, I love my work, and then those stressful shifts that like really just take a toll on me, I get to turn around, hit go live, laugh, joke, talk, play games, and try to make, more people smile, make people happy, laugh. And in turn, that's kind of where I get my satisfaction from, is I'm getting to do this. This is absolutely insane to me, and I'm possibly helping somebody else out who might be going through a tough time. Like, it's not so much the check mark is a goal, but it's not the end all be all for my happiness. That'd be really nice if we did.
Yeah, and I think that's the right way to go about looking at it. Don't put your entire being into that, or don't bet your entire mental health into that prospect that, because you never know when it's going to happen, if it might happen. But I think it's, as long as you enjoy doing it, I think that's the part that you really got to focus on. Because I've even seen people, not going to drop names, but I've seen people come extremely close to that mark, and then they don't get it. And I've seen it happen to them multiple times, and they get completely, like, you can just tell the wind goes completely out of their sails. And it kind of sucks that, and it sucks that you work so hard for something, and it just barely, it just gets out of your grasp. And I think it's a struggle that I think every content creator probably deals with. I mean, it's a struggle that you gotta grapple with from time to time. And I also think, interestingly enough, because when you start letting it get in your head, that conversely affects the quality of your streams or any of your other content, right? And so it's kind of I've heard it called a negative feedback loop, and I don't think it's a perfectly accurate description for it. It feeds into itself. You just gotta know when to quash it and how to bolster yourself up, which is why I think a lot of streamers put so much emphasis on mental health, because it is such an important thing to consider in this area.
I agree with that too. And actually, I was also going to say, just with almost hitting, getting that nice little check mark and then not, there's also another thing that I sometimes see of partnered streamers that are streaming to 2 or 3 people, because I don't know, like, and everybody's different, so I do not want to generalize here, but like, I've heard of people who, once they got partnered, in their mind, they made it, they're good, they can stop trying now because they're partnered, and then they let their content go by the wayside. So I feel like it's one of those that even after you hit that, or even as you're growing, you need to keep innovating and keep the content going and alive and fresh, because there's a million other people doing it. There's a million other people trying to do it better than you. You need to step it up.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with that. If it's something you're serious about, it's something you got to learn how to power through. And Just make it happen to the best of your ability, and just remember it's not going to happen overnight. Some people take several years before they finally get to that point. I mean, I've seen somebody, they recently celebrated their 9-year Twitch anniversary, and they're not partner, but they're still streaming because they enjoy it, and I think that's fantastic, and that because it should always be a passion project first and foremost. So that actually kind of begs the question: so what did you and your brother initially come up with the idea to do to share the channel, or was that a development that happened later on?
We've always kind of done a lot of things together. So when it came to the concept of streaming, it was almost always that idea. Like, we just kind of knew if we streamed, we wanted to stream together. So like the conversation never actually happened. We just kind of knew this was a twin thing, where the package deal, and we're actually trying to do more twin streams. Like, our schedules don't line up very well,
right?
And we're not meeting up in person as often because of what I'm exposed to with work and having a baby son at home.
Oh yeah.
That conversation just was never really a thing. And even when people were telling us to stream, it was never, hey Kyle, you should stream. Hey David, you should stream too. It was always like, man, you guys have to stream. So yeah, it was we had a more difficult time coming up with the name A1-Twins than we did discussing if we wanted to stream together or not.
So yeah, well, and that's a great segue to another question. How did you guys come up with that name, A1? I think of A1 steak sauce whenever I see that name. I can only imagine how many times you've heard that joke.
Quite a bit. We've actually incorporated that into some streams. I lost a challenge against my brother, and I had to he put A1 steak sauce on top of my favorite ice cream, which is Rocky Road. And he almost ruined my favorite ice cream for me.
Oh, God.
It's not good on ice cream. It was disgusting and tasted like I was eating vinegar. And I like A1 sauce just fine, too.
Oh, sure.
So I don't ruin a potential branding deal later. So this dates all the way back to middle school, so 7th, 8th grade.
Right.
People always tried to pit us up against each other. And so it was always like, hey, who's 1, who's 2, who's A, who's B? And, middle schoolers are jerks, so they kept trying to see if they could get the twins to fight. And it always it started approaching that point of, my life is better if I put my brother down a bit, because then people are more widely accepting of me. And we kind of took a step back and realized, like, wait, no, this isn't cool. And one day, I don't even remember, like, the kid's name, but this kid was just kind of, like, poking at me, saying like, hey, who's A, who's B, who's 1, who's 2, who's the worst twin? And I got mad and I said, he's 1, I'm A, neither's better than the other. So something to that effect. And we just kind of, like, my brother and I laughed about it with our friends later, like, oh, twin A and twin 1, that's funny. That was like just by the wayside, though. We're like, oh, that's kind of a funny little nickname there. Nothing came of it. And then when we started doing, like, starting to get into the idea of competitive gaming, or even just playing a game where you have to put in your name,
right?
We always went by Frost and Nemesis, because that was the name of 2 villains in one of the older Need for Speed games.
Okay.
We're like, yeah, Frost and Nemesis, what great names. And we were about to enter a Smash Bros. Melee tournament. This is like 2007.
Oh, wow.
We were like, okay, are we going to enter as Frost and Nemesis? I mean, that just kind of makes sense.
Right.
And we thought about it a little more. We're like, no, those names are probably taken. And I don't remember which one of us said it. We're like, hey, well, what about Twin A and Twin 1? We're like, yeah, let's do that.
Oh, nice.
And so that became our gamer tags, what we're known as. And then all these years later, when we were wanting to stream, we were trying to figure out a good stream name that was catchy. And A1-Twins just makes so much sense.
Oh, absolutely.
It seems like the common, simple answer, and it took us so long before I actually came up with that. We had what were some examples? There was one that had to do with, like, Donkey Kong or something, like what was it? It was A1 Kongs or something like that.
Oh my God.
Or, like, we were just trying to come up with every A1 pun we could think of. We even threw out the idea of, like, steak sauce or A1 steaks or something like that. Like, so many terrible ideas. And it was like an hour of us sitting with like Light, and my brother's wife was there, and her brother was there, and a whole bunch of us. Yeah, Wombmates was one of them.
I saw that on your Discord.
Yeah,
love it
because it's the worst name for twins we could think of.
Wombmates.
That's the worst name.
I almost want that to be your new stream name. Welcome to the Wombmates.
Yeah, I love saying that, but like as a stream name, that would have been a rough one. Then I just
probably
sitting there on his couch. I'm like, wait, why not just A1-Twins? And everybody was like collectively, yeah, that works. And so I made the email account right then and there. I set up the Twitch right then and there, and then we were like, okay, let's figure out the next step.
Oh yeah.
It just kind of made sense. Then the next hard day was we didn't know how much of our personal lives we wanted to talk about. Like I didn't talk for like a year and a half about the fact that I was a firefighter on stream. Never brought that up, and like we tried to not say each other's names. And just refer to each other as like Twin 1 and Twin A, because we didn't know what level of privacy we wanted.
Right.
And it was so hard because we'd be playing games and I'd be like, oh, damn it, David. I mean, we scrapped that after like a month.
Yeah, I imagine it's really hard to set up habits like that when you're playing with other people who know you so well at that point. Yeah, I mean, because that's kind of the approach I've taken so far. I mean, you know, most there's quite a few people who don't know my real name. Which I mean, I think you could probably see it on my Instagram, but I'm just, yeah. Wait, I didn't even know you had an Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Huh. You got everything.
But that. I am not following you. Oh, I figured it was your initials.
Yeah, it is. Right. So that was I had a very similarly hard time coming up with a good Twitch name. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I gotta think of something decent here, right? Like, I just feel like everything I'm thinking of is either really dumb or taken. And I thought, all right, maybe I should just do something that's me, but kind of code talk. And it was, and so I remember, so I thought, well, what if I did like military alphabet? And that's where my initials came in. So it was originally going to be Echo Romeo Echo, but I was like, you know, I feel like that doesn't flow very well. So what happens if I just took out the EO from Romeo and say Echo Rom Echo? And I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll go with that. And people can just, they have something to call me for short, but it's not like anybody would confuse me for anyone else on Twitch. I mean, it's pretty, it's a pretty straightforward thing. So, I mean, I like how it turned out. I didn't have a drawing. I didn't really have I didn't have a focus group of people to kind of bounce ideas off of. It was just kind of me agonizing in my apartment. I was just like, man, it's hard to be creative sometimes.
It really is.
So
go ahead.
No, you're fine. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess I'm very fortunate that when it comes to creative concepts, like the bulk of the stuff I do for TikTok and Hover and things like that, I come up with on my own. And I actually have a lot of ideas I want to do, but I'm trying to find like a good microphone that I can use with my phone. Nothing seems to work. And,
right.
But like a bulk of the ideas I come up with, but I at least have my brother who'll text me like, hey, you should do this. Or Light will text me a lot and be like, hey, here's an idea for a TikTok, or here's an audio you can use. And so I guess I'm very fortunate that I'm not trying to tackle inspiration entirely on my own.
Yeah.
That would be hard.
It really is, though. As someone who has to tackle inspiration, I occasionally talk with my mods on Discord to see if we can get some ideas. And like this podcast, for example, I know people were telling me for a while that they think I have like a radio voice. I don't really. I think I sound more like a robot, to be honest. But you know, hey, whatever floats people's boats. So,
you kind of do have a good radio voice. I'll give you that.
Oh, thank you. And I thought, you know, I'm like, I feel like my best. I don't know. I feel like me personally, my best when it comes to creating content, I think I'm at my best when I'm bouncing off of people and chatting with them, as opposed to reacting what's going on screen. Because I'm the type where I get into like super focused, sweaty gamer mode when I play games, and like it is so easy to ignore chat. And then I'll look to the right, and I'll see like 10 messages stacked up, and I'm like, oh god damn it, they probably think I'm ignoring them. And so I'm like, well, what if I do something where I could look at chat and still like chat and still talk with people at the same time. So that's kind of where the impetus for this came from. And my mod was suggesting that I should try to get this started back up, because I actually did try to start this on one other occasion a few months back with somebody else, but then plans ended up changing. Things just didn't quite work out, and I was still at military school at the time. So it was just like, it's one of those things where the unpredictable nature of that setting makes it very difficult to do something a bit more committed. I still don't know how the hell I pulled off the cosplay streams during that time, but I don't know. I guess luck just turned out in my favor.
There you go.
So what do you think? So what do you consider to be the best stream you've ever done?
Ooh. Well, I've got two that come to mind, and I'm gonna need to get on that for the third one here soon. Would be the first two charity streams.
Oh, okay.
You spoke about mental health. Unfortunately, I lost a firefighting brother of mine too, or he lost his battle with his mental health. This was like, my brother and I had been streaming for a few months,
right?
And I'd seen and heard of charity streams before, and I was like, hey, let's do a charity stream for suicide prevention, and it was like, hey, we're doing it this weekend, let's do it this weekend. And completely last second planning, didn't know how to do it, like stayed up till like 3 a.m. the night before when I was going to my brother's at like 8 to start it the next day, trying to figure out how to set it up and do it the proper channel. Do they send it to my account and I make a big donation? No, big no there. And just stuff like that. And but despite being a brand new stream with like 100 or 200 followers, maybe, we managed to raise like a good amount of money. I think we hit $1,000.
Oh, nice.
Stream.
Very nice.
Yeah, we did, which was cool. Then the next year we did it again. I will emphasize this: our first year of streaming was like, I barely want to count it, because there was one month that we collectively streamed once, and it was for like 2 hours. Then we'd go like weeks at a time not being able to stream. There was no sense of schedule, consistency there, and like it was. I hated those streams. Like, looking back on them, I die a little bit seeing them. But which a bad joke to make. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Actually, there was one moment, I will not talk about it.
Okay.
Ever, but Light knows that happened with the first stream that's become like a big inside joke for Light, my brother, and I. We like to look back on and laugh at. Light knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh my god.
The first stream, but the other big moment, I think, was our second charity stream. We were trying to do it annually, and we raised like somewhere between 3,000
wow,
3,500 on that one. And we're trying to replicate it again, but this last year was just so hectic with everything going on.
Yeah,
extra shifts, and my brother has a son, so we're trying to do another stream for suicide prevention now. But like each of the streams we've done, the one chip challenge is one of the fundraising goals. I remember the second one, I was like, oh boy, if we hit $1,000 again, this would be great. So I set the goal of like the one chip challenge is $1,000, and we like. Within an hour of the stream, we had already like just about hit that. I was all,
that is crazy.
Like, this is great. And I've been like doing hot sauce shots for like $50 donations.
Oh my god.
My stomach hated me that day.
Oh my god.
It was bad, but that I would definitely say my favorite two streams were those, because one of the biggest reasons I like to stream is I love helping people. I like making people smile, making them feel better, and it's a big motivator for me that like, hey, there's somebody on the other side of this camera who's watching, who maybe the joking or the energy or the gaming, probably not the gaming, something is cheering them up when they're having a bad day. So helps me out. And then then I go to work and I help people on their worst days, and I come back home and stream and just get to repeat the process. So the fact that because it was my brother, myself, Light was there. There's been a few people that have come by and helped with them. Like we can actually physically have a means of saying, here is how much we helped people. Like it meant the world to me.
Okay, well, dang. I mean, so altogether, that's almost like $5,000 raised between 2 streams. That is incredible, and that's. I mean, honestly, it sounds like. I mean, I've seen a lot of people do charity streams, and I really need to do more of those myself. I've only ever been in one charity stream, and that was actually from a charity train. From a fellow streamer friend. He invited me to be a part of it for Remington Hearts. Unfortunately, his. I don't know if I want to delve too deep. Well, he already did a stream about it. So his dad, he lost his dad to a heart attack, unfortunately. Ooh. So yeah, very, very tragic loss. And I wanted to do my part, help him out, because he seemed really passionate about it. And overall, I mean, I would say it was a very, very big success. But I think that is the thing about. I think we ended up raising over $5,000 or something of that nature over the course of the entire stream. It was a long train. I think the whole thing was like 3 days long. And of course, because I'm a very last minute kind of guy, sometimes I neglected to tell him when I was available to stream. So he said, "Okay, well, look, Echo, if you want to be a part of this, our only slot is 4 a.m. And I'm like, all right." Yeah, so I had to do that till 7 a.m. Well, that was my option. I didn't have to do it, but I was like, all right, you know what? No, I said I was going to do it. I shouldn't have waited so long. I'll tough it out. And I mean, it was a good. I mean, it still went really well. We had fun. And that was definitely one of the more memorable streams. I think there's just a really good feeling knowing that you're trying to do something to help people, and it all comes together. And I can't imagine there's too many other feelings that kind of beat that out. It's one of those things. It's what it means to be a streamer, right? Just part of helping people. So what's been your favorite game to stream?
Ooh, also a tough one. I'm going to answer this a few different ways, actually, because for me, it's in regards to single player games, and not with the community. Probably the Dark Souls series, because it really challenged, really pushed, really helped the channel grow. I was doing push-ups on every death. Actually, just before I forget, you were talking about gaming, streaming. Do you ever play games when you're not streaming and instinctively look for a chat to read? I do that all the time now. The
weird thing is, I think it's because of my habits. I don't I'll just keep playing. I'm the guy, I have it backwards. I'm too focused on the game to pay attention to chat. And so it's like that. And that's the benefit of when I'm not streaming. I can just get super hyper focused on the game I'm playing. But then when I'm streaming, especially a game like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, it gets super intense. Sometimes I get very salty about it on stream too. It gets to the point where it's like I can't even deal with people teasing me on there. I'm like, dude, I died to Melania 50 times now. I can't deal with this right now.
That's funny. Yeah, for me, if I'm playing games in this game room, then I keep instinctively looking at chat. If I'm
right
at my brother's place or at work or something, I don't. But the moment I'm in here, I just look at my computer. I'm like, God dang it. But to go back to your prior question, sorry, derail. So Dark Souls or the Bloodborne series or the Soulsborne. Yeah, words.
It's okay. It's okay.
Series probably for single player purposes. Multiplayer would either be Marbles, because I love yelling and screaming. Shaq is super into it, and I love it. Or just Jackbox and stuff like that, because it's just fun, and I love to laugh, and people are just so witty. Wolf, when I play games with David, I find myself looking at chat more than he does.
Man, maybe that's what
David. He is still convinced that he reads chat more than I do. I'm like,
maybe that's what I need. I need to assign somebody to read chat. I actually have I have a sound alert nowadays where I have it disabled for the podcast because that would have been obnoxious to have that interrupting everything. But for when I'm just streaming games, I got a basically free channel point redeem where it shouts "Newsflash, asshole!" so that it can get me paying attention back to the chat. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I feel like, and I think that's kind of why I'm trying to do more than just play games, because I do like to interact with the community. I like to interact with chat. That's part of the reason why I started streaming to begin with, just to kind of branch out, see what I could do with the channel. And like you were saying, love marbles. Marble days are great, because all you got to do is just type play, and then you commentate over everything. Super fun to do, especially when you're playing, like, I don't know, Sonic music or something in the background, something to just hype up chat. So let me see. So you said you've been streaming for about 3 years, but you've been a firefighter for 7. And I guess going back to the firefighting thing, what made you want to be a firefighter?
Well, that's actually a pretty fun and interesting story there. I got my bachelor's in accounting. I was working on a master's in finance. I was working at a bank at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And really didn't like it. So I tried to just kind of keep myself entertained with good hobbies. And one of those hobbies was, my brother and I, we always grew up watching, Ninja Warrior, stuff like that.
I love Ninja Warrior.
Watching American Ninja Warrior. And one day I just said, I'm going to compete on that. I'm going to do that. And so I started training. No sense of direction with that training. No idea what I was doing. Just this is what I'm going to try. And then, just as pure dumb luck would have it, a Ninja Warrior gym opened up that same month that I was declared, I'm going to go do this. And the guy who owns it, his name is Daniel. He is a firefighter. He's now a captain in my fire department.
Oh, nice.
But girlfriend told me, hey, you should look into fire, because she did her medic internship there. And then Daniel, the owner of the gym, was like, hey, you should absolutely look into fire. Try it. And I was like, I don't know. To me, firefighters are the elite, the best of the best. I am not by any means that. And I told him, I was like, I don't think I could.
Right.
I'm cut out for it. But thank you. And then the next day he calls me up. He's like, hey, so I talked to the person that sets it up. I've got you a ride along. It's going to be this Saturday. You need to show up to the academy and sign some paperwork, and then they're going to tell you what station to go to. Dress like this, wear khakis, gray polo. Bring donuts. They want to see donuts. Bring good donuts, and enjoy your ride along. I was like, I guess I'm doing a ride along for firefighting, and showed up, filled out the paperwork, found out where, what station to go to, showed up there with donuts, and I was meant to be there for 6 hours. I think it was going to be 8 in the morning until whenever, and 8 or 9 in the morning until whatever. And I ended up staying there till I think almost 2 in the morning.
Wow.
Just hang out with the crew. We had fun. We had great times. They told me, they were like, yeah, stick around. We're going to do this. Hey, can you hang out for another couple hours? We're going to grab dinner. Do you want to eat dinner with us? I'm like, absolutely, I do. And after that, that next day, I just dropped whatever classes I was taking, signed up to get my EMT license, and I just never looked back from there. I was like, this is 100% what I want to do. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you just kind of find what you want to do by just pure dumb luck. Right? It's you run into a really happy coincidence, and then out of the blue, it really speaks to you. You click with it, you connect with it, and then you never want to look back after that. I totally understand that. That was it kind of reminds me of how I ended up joining the Guard, actually. So shortly after I started going to college for my second bachelor's for computer science, which never finished that. But anyway, so I realized I was going to be racking up debt really quick. So I thought I should probably get a second job. And so I was on Snag a Job of all places, and I see that the Army has a posting for petroleum specialist, and I'm like, well, wait, are they just hiring random civilians to work on post? So I put in my application because I'm like, yeah, a job's a job. And I get a call from the recruiter shortly after that because he must have seen my application. And let me tell you something: those guys, when they're like sharks. As soon as they smell that fresh blood, they are on you. And so, but I mean, he sold me pretty well on it too. I was just telling him, look, I'm just looking to get started in IT experience because my previous bachelor's is in performing arts, which, never really did anything with that. But it's a degree. So and so I ended up signing on for 6 years, and after the initial training period, which I think is it's 10 weeks at basic training and then 27 weeks at advanced individual training for the job I was going for, which let me tell you, 10 months in a training environment was not fun. But yeah, no, and it's even worse when you're used to living on your own, because most of the time you're around high schoolers and stuff like that. They're just graduated, they want to join the Army, they be all gung-ho, and of course they learn very quickly military is not like what the movies portray at all. And there's a lot of restrictions, and so imagine not being able to take your car anywhere or have any privacy for 10 months, and just be constantly at the beck and call of any random event that leadership asks you to do. That is military training. Now, the nice thing is that the unit I was at was way more relaxed than any training unit I'd been to, and it almost felt like an entirely different world, honestly. Just we were everybody was chill. Because at the Guard we only drill 1 weekend a month. So it's for a couple days. For a couple days we do Army stuff. If we got a mission, we fulfill it, and then most of the time we just inspect vehicles in the motor pool. Super fun stuff. But you meet a lot of cool people there. It's one of those things where, as much as it sucks, I think some of the best bonds you make are when you and other people are going through really shitty experiences together. Because then it's just like, okay, well, if things get too tough, we'll fall on each other. And that's how me and my old training class ended up staying in touch for about 3 years, even though we were spread out all across the country at the end of it all. But it's done a lot of good for me. I mean, I could be into this for a while, but it's one of those things where I've been in 5 years now, and I don't really think I could leave it now. Right. Just because it's changed my life for the better, in a sense, where as much as it sucks sometimes, it's like I have something I can look ahead at with that organization. I have there's a purpose involved, as opposed to just being at a dead end job and just kind of living from paycheck to paycheck. It gave me a lot of ambition. See, Big Mac, welcome in. Her old passive aggressive comment said driver. Besides that, hello.
What's up, Big Mac? Big Mac discovered my stream at the only 24-hour stream I've done and has been here harassing me ever since, and I love it. He is also the only mod on my side stream. So
I didn't know you had
because if I'm on the side stream, I'm probably drunk and not caring, and so he's in charge of modding, preferably while drunk as well.
The side stream. I didn't know you had a second channel.
That's the thing. I very, very rarely use it. You talked about the poor internet earlier. There was a dark ages of when I streamed, because I had some wicked internet. It was awesome, but it started like lagging really hard one day out of nowhere, and it was like a month of me back and forth on the phone documenting, because they kept saying like, tell us when it lags, we can't see it, nothing's going wrong. And I'm like, I can't download anything. If I'm watching Netflix, it keeps buffering and freezing. I'm paying for great internet. What the heck is going on? We had some G Fuel streams that month.
Oh,
I had a
really?
24-hour stream going on, and it was just lagging so bad during all of that, and I was livid. And then a buddy of mine who works, and I don't get mad very easily, but this was
Right.
upsetting. Oh, we even had a guy come on who was one of the techs for the internet company. I mentioned streaming. He's like, "Oh, are you on Twitch?" I'm like, "I am on Twitch." He's like, "Hey, let me follow you." When I was going to stream that night, he's like, "I'll pop in and I'll be able to witness what's going on." So it became a fun little game of like, I actually had the internet company on a Discord call, watching me stream, watching it die, not having any solutions. Then another friend of mine who used to work for an internet company told me, he's like, "Hey, here's what's going on. Basically, somebody in my little box for that internet provider is more or less like jailbreaking the internet, so it saps it from everybody else to give them ridiculous speeds."
Oh.
So in turn, I had to downgrade my internet to one that's slower but consistent.
Right.
But it was during that time that, to circle back to the side account, I kept getting really frustrated with it. And I was like, I'm bringing down the A1-Twins stream quality, and I'm showing signs of frustration, and it's lagging, and it was bad. So I'm like, okay, cool. Hey, I had like 30 followers or something on my Twin A account back when I just used to use that for chatting. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to stream on this. And I always have it labeled no game title, no, like it's barely even searchable. The only way to watch the stream is just to know, like, hey, he's going live right now on this channel. And I usually did it with like no camera, or if I had a camera, it was to test stuff out. Like poor lighting didn't matter. Playing whatever music I wanted, because I don't care if that account gets DMCA'd.
Right.
And just jamming out, having a good time, not caring about the quality. And then it was like, oh God, I might need a mod on here. I think I got to the point where I could affiliate that account, and I was like, nah, not even going to bother with that. I don't care. Because if I did, I might make an emote that's like, let's see if I can get banned for this. It's not a troll account or anything. It's just me having fun.
Right.
Since or with consistent internet now, I'm like, I don't really need the side account.
Oh, okay.
Although, since I am trying to like play some gaming on the side for sake of like gaming while not streaming, I still might stream it on that side account so I could just still listen to music and mess around and do whatever.
Oh yeah, that's your that's your rebel account. I gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. I joked, I'm like, watch the Twin A account blows up, so this side account will in its own way blow up. That's like a hidden goal. Like there's like achievement unlocked, do this. That's like one of those hidden achievements that's not really spoken about, but I would love is like to get big enough on the A1-Twins account that somehow my side account gets partnered without effort.
Well, I feel like that wouldn't be, once you're big enough on one platform, the rest of them just kind of fall into place. So, I feel like that's very doable. You just start building yourself up a little Twitch empire right there. That'd be funny.
Fortune, get back to streaming.
Oh, is Fortune streaming right now?
She's streaming right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, what are you doing? Back to it.
Thanks. I appreciate you lurking while you're streaming, Fortune. But please don't feel obligated to do that.
rebroadcast the podcast without asking permission, then commentate on what I say and why I'm wrong. She's one of my best friends, so we give each other.
Oh yeah, of course. Look, Twitch in a nutshell is kind of about bullying the streamer anyway. Like, just you're putting a massive target on your chest, being a streamer. Like when I was playing Smash Bros yesterday, so many people were offering background tips on how to beat me while I was playing Bowser. I'm like, guys, this is not cool, okay? I don't.
That's not the worst thing.
Huh?
I said that's not the worst thing. Sorry, I'm multitasking. I meant to order an Uber this morning and set it up for later, and I completely forgot, so I'm trying to do that now.
No, you're fine.
We don't have a whole lot of Ubers here, so
right. See, you gotta get the early bird in. I hear you.
Yeah, exactly. time.
But yeah, no, I agree. I think bullying is, I say bullying. I say like, I call it more trolling to kind of take the edge off of it. Like people trolling you ain't the worst thing, right? I think it's all in good fun as long as nobody goes too far with it. Like because I've had a couple of people go so far where it completely ruins the mood of the stream, and I'm like, what? Why would you do that? But I mean, I think that's just kind of part of the, that's just one of the pitfalls of streaming. It's like when you make yourself a much more public figure. There's gonna be those people who are they're just gonna try and piss all over your parade, which sucks. But as long as it's not the norm. But you mentioned your internet going bad. I think I remember seeing some of those streams. Was that last year when you were trying to?
Late last year.
Yeah. I remember because you were trying to play Evil Within and it just kept crashing. I relate to that so hard because I was back before they did disconnect protection on that. So it was just like you would have so you would just end up having like 10 or 20 VODs that were all like 10 seconds long because your internet just could not keep a connection. I will say, I think that's one of the biggest improvements Twitch has made on this platform. Disconnect protection is such a godsend sometimes.
I'm actually not familiar with that. Like,
really?
I've gotten this connection. It's not like fast, but it gets the job done. What is disconnect protection?
So if you go into your creator dashboard and you look under streamer settings, you can actually find disconnection protection, which what it'll do is if your internet cuts out for any reason, it'll, instead of ending your stream, it'll show a picture of that not like this emote with like kind of that typical Twitch color in the background. And it'll keep your stream up for 90 seconds. So yeah, you can fix any internet problems. That saved my stream so many times by enabling that. It's a really handy tool. So like nowadays my internet's much better, so I barely ever get disconnected. But on the off chance that it does, it's just a nice little safeguard to have in place. It's not always foolproof though, because like if your internet's just down, then 90 seconds ain't gonna make much of a difference. But really, if it's spotty though, it's perfect. It is absolutely perfect.
Just enabled it.
See,
good looking out.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I'll have to rewatch the VOD of this later. Been lurking, but unable to actively listen. Oh, no worries, Twin One or David, I guess. Terrible with names, so bear with me on that one. But I mean, I'm going to be uploading this to YouTube and Spotify later, so I'm going to do a little bit of editing here and there, like to cut out the bathroom break because nobody wants to listen to that. But aside from that, I mean, it's going to be mostly on intact footage. So
nice.
Yep. So I think so. Let's see. You said you got to be out the door by 5 o'clock, right?
Yeah, actually, I might need to go a little earlier than that.
Okay.
Because I still have to shower, get everything ready. Like this morning, my goal was get home, finish some things, and then just take a quick power nap. And instead it was, oh my God, I'm home. Uploaded a quick TikTok.
Yeah.
Because I have a series now where I say like, well, just fresh off shift, just got home. I'll say like 3 or 4 really cheesy pickup lines and then upload, pass out. Just makes for quick content for that day. And that's literally what I did. Like I barely remember crawling into bed. So
okay.
I need to make sure I get stuff done.
Oh yeah, sure. So what are you thinking about? Like maybe let's see, 3:30, or a little bit. You need a little more time than that.
Oh, you mean like 3:30 my time?
Yeah.
Wait.
Or I'm sorry, 2:30. I'm sorry.
2:30 would work. I was like,
yeah, no,
my Lieutenant Surprise party dressed in like the weirdest 90s getup you've seen. Oh God! If you want to laugh, I'll show you the jacket I bought just for this.
Oh yeah! Please show me.
Okay. Sorry, chat. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay, no. So guys, based on the time constraints, unfortunately, looks like Jackbox isn't going to be a thing. We might be able to do a couple more games of marbles, or a couple games of marbles. It just depends. Might have to forego all that, just given everything going on. But regardless of what happens, I really appreciate you guys coming out here.
So yeah,
Dude, I love it. That's amazing.
like a neon pink tank top underneath, but it says Bel Air on it, whatever. And then he's a big Jordan fan, so I got the one that says 93. Especially like 90s theme. I was like, I'm going to wear the craziest outfit I can. I'm only showing this because I'm probably gonna end up streaming in this at some point.
Oh, absolutely, do
Like a
it.
crazy stream idea for tomorrow. So
Oh yeah, go for
good
it.
chance I'll throw this on at some point tomorrow too.
I love it. Did you just find that somewhere? Or did you have that made?
Amazon. I looked up like terrible 90s outfits or something like that, or like 90s windbreakers. And this was on sale. It was like normally $30. We'll give it to you for like 7. I'm all and sold.
Shit, yeah.
It's terrible. It's as 90s as I can think. And one of the other firefighters that I'm really good friends with just had his baby gender reveal party. No fires started, fortunately.
Yeah, I was about to say something on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and he told everybody like wear blue or pink, and our whole station was ripping on him because he's a young guy. He's not a kid. He's a grown man. But
Right.
He's young. He really wants a boy for sake of like he thinks he knows how to raise a boy, but a baby girl that thought scares him. So we were all team pink. We were going to go in on just wearing pink, and so I found this like neon, like looks like part of a rave outfit, neon pink tank top that I wore there. And so I'm probably going to wear that underneath this and just have these glasses on. I was trying to get like a Chicago Bulls hat, but couldn't borrow one off a friend in time. So whatever. And I'm going to a public place dressed like this. So yay.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Own it, man. Did you, did it end up being a girl?
It was actually a boy.
Oh, okay.
Because his dad, who is a captain that's about to retire, actually, and good
Oh,
for him.
yeah?
His dad is a captain, and he was the one who received the envelope to find out the gender. And I guess he and his wife like were dropping subtle hints that it was a girl because Dylan, who's the firefighter, he and his fiance really wanted to know, and they kept asking. And so I guess like the one example I could think of that I thought it was like obvious that they were messing with him was like they're saying like, hey, for sons, what about Justin or what about this? And his dad would chime in like, ooh, okay, Justin's a great name. What about names like Daisy? Daisy's a really great name. Like stuff like that, because he already knew they were having a boy, but he wanted to scare them into like expecting a girl. So
that's brilliant.
The big balloon popped and the blue confetti came out. Both their faces were so shocked and relieved because they're like, "Oh my God, we're having a boy!" They were convinced right up until the pop that
it was going to be a girl.
So nervous.
Wait, I'm confused. So the parents didn't know?
No, sorry. So to emphasize, the parents knew that they were having a boy.
Oh, okay.
That both of them wanted a boy, and so in turn, when like the weeks leading up to the gender reveal party, they kept dropping hints that they were having a girl.
Okay, I got you.
Nervous because neither one, like both of them, really deep down wanted a boy.
Yeah,
because they think it'll be easier. They've always grown up around boys. They're ready for that, and so the parents just kept messing with them because of that fact and being like. Yeah, so if you have a girl, just saying, what about this if you have a girl? And nervous and trying to like steer them in the other direction just to double down on the surprise.
I gotcha. No, it sounds like a really wholesome family moment. Like the I like the but yeah, no, like the getup looks great. So actually, something came up while we were on break, and I've been meaning to ask you. So, how long have you been involved in the Smash Bros. Competitive scene?
Mid 2007, so like August or so was the first tournament that we went to, and it was a local tournament at like a rival game store. We went to like a little tiny LAN center locally called Serverside. That had, like a couple TVs in the corner for console gaming, but mostly like PC setups. You rent an hour, play whatever. And it was fun. And a bunch of us would go hang out there. And then like the rival center that was called Ninja Monkey. Ninja Monkey was
nice.
It was like deeper into the main city. And they were holding a Smash Bros. Tournament. Well, it turns out it was actually just the local competitive scene was using it as a venue. And so my brother and I went like to represent the business that we went to and always supported. And it was like, oh yeah, I'll pay your guys' entry fee. You go down there, beat them all, show them what's up. We're like, yeah, we're really good at Smash Bros. Melee. We beat them. And then it's kind of like the concept of like if you played football with your friends, backyard football, and then you discovered the NFL and tried to go, compete with NFL players because you think you're pretty good at football. And so like we went there. My brother actually did really well, but I got just absolutely destroyed. And since then it was like, oh my God, there's so much more to Melee and Smash Bros. And started traveling and got our names known in the overall competitive scene. We did commentary for a good while when it was still like grassroots and underground.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Do you watch competitive Smash Bros. Ultimate or Melee?
I have seen a few. I have seen a few players. I've seen guys like Nairo, MK Leon. I've seen like some of the really really big players. One of my favorites to watch is a Bowser main. I think it's just I think it's Leon or something like that.
He's from Mexico.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking of. He's really nice.
Oh, you met him?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's your favorite competitive Smash player?
Axe, the Melee Pikachu player. He's also a really, really good friend.
Okay.
Of mine and my brother's. And then Taj, who's actually one of our mods. He was the greatest Mewtwo player in the world.
Really?
In regards to Ultimate, like we know a lot of the commentators for Ultimate. Like we've been friends with them for a long time. We partied with them.
Oh, nice.
We did commentary with them back when like we were all getting started. Just I focused on college, they focused on commentary, and now I'm like,
right.
Ooh. Still is. Still is. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, Taj is the greatest. They're gonna send a clip of this to him.
I was gonna say, they're gonna clip that. They're just they're gonna cut it off right when you say was the greatest Mewtwo player in the world.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, I love Taj. He's great. But yeah, no, I that's actually why I'm friends with Light. Light was in Phoenix and we traveled there, became friends with him. Then he moved to a much more northern part of New Mexico to go to school, but would make the long commute down just to compete with us, and then moved in and became roommates. And as a brother to my brother and I, just because we met him through competitive Smash Bros. Like a lot of my best friends are from competitive Smash. I see you messing around in Discord. I saw that.
Yeah, shit, you caught me. I was trying to keep it going because I really hate how it just freezes up when you click off of something for a second. I
never minimize the Discord window. I just open stuff over it.
Yeah,
and that usually solves the problem for me.
Well, that's what I just did. It's just I'm having my streams are known for having technical issues. So I mean, it is what it is. What can you really do?
I made a TikTok about that, and actually I put it on Hover. And if you don't know what Hover is, it's like TikTok but for streamers.
Yeah, I know what Hover is. I have a Hover account.
It's actually my Hover video that's doing the best right now.
Oh yeah,
and is getting a lot of likes and comments. That despite the fact I posted it weeks ago, it's now starting to take off. And it has to do with like tech issues, and it's like it starts off with a little kid saying like, and nothing can go wrong. Then you hear a loud crash, and he just yells, "Oh no, it all went wrong!" And I said like, it was something along the lines of like getting ready to excited, getting ready to stream, then random tech issues.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that one. Well, you posted that both on Hover and TikTok, right? Man, I'm finding out you have so many social media accounts that I'm just not following. Like I found out you had Twitter the other day, found out you have Instagram, and now I'm finding out you got a Hover too. Wow, I thought for sure I was following you on everything.
We're kind of we have a Linktree account that kind of leads to everything. The problem with Instagram and Twitter is that it's not. I don't want it. Well, I can't change it to A1-Twins. On either of them because that name is taken. And I'm like, I'll just stick to what I have. But at least on Hover and TikTok, I was able to grab that name.
Right.
But yeah, we have YouTube, we have TikTok, Hover, and all those. I just kind of do the same thing. I make a TikTok video and I post it to all three, and then also to Instagram. to keep it simple.
And actually, while we're on the topic of Discord and socials, anybody in chat, those are mine. I'm just going to do a little shameless plug right there. Yeah, I've already put it in chat. So
I'm already subscribed.
Oh, appreciate that. Yeah, I'll make sure to return the favor.
Good.
So yeah, looks like we're getting to about that time. So Kyle, I really appreciate you coming on here, man. It's been I think this has been a fantastic first episode. I think
I like it, dude. Thanks for having me. It's been an honor. If there's any last second questions or anything that chat has or you have, feel free to throw it out there real quick. I'm happy to answer one more. If you just want to end it, though, we can end it.
I think the only question I would have is, do you have any closing statements for chat? Since I know they're mostly, I know a lot of them have come to watch you. And yeah, guys, I do want to say, I will. Sorry, I know I'm kind of trampling all over your moment to have a closing statement.
You're good.
I just want to say, so I think this has been a great first episode. So I'll be uploading this to YouTube, and I got to create a Spotify account, but I'll upload to Spotify when I do. And I'm definitely going to be doing more of these in the future. I think this has been absolutely fantastic. It's been an honor to have you on here, chat with you. I think I'm super happy to have you on here. And what do you got for us, man?
Okay, first and foremost, if you see a fire truck or a first responder behind you, pull to the right and stop. Emphasis on the stop. Most people like to creep. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the honor of being your first guest on a podcast. This was really dope.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it, and I wish you nothing but the highest level of success.
Well, thank you.
Remember me when you're famous.
I think you're going to get famous before I do. So, all I ask is you return the favor. But yeah, also I went ahead and shouted you out. For those of you in chat who are not already following A1-Twins, definitely go give them a follow. Great content. They like to do push-ups and stuff when they lose at Melania. He's probably going to, I don't know, have you beaten Melania yet?
No.
All right, so he's going to be looking like Mr. Universe by the time he beats her. So don't.
So many push-ups.
Don't let him quit either.
No, I don't give. I don't get disheartened. It looks like I'm done with this, but I'm every time I lose, I just get so much more motivated to go full send. Those games are the worst for me because I'm so bad at them. I'm so bad at keeping track of quests and exploring. And I do well, and then. But I love it. I love the challenge. So it's all good.
All righty. Well, let's see who we're going to go ahead and raid out to.
I've got a request, but I'm always going to be greedy with that.
Who do you want to raid out to? Fortune? I had a feeling you were going to request that, and that's A-okay. I haven't raided Fortune in a while anyhow, so we can absolutely do that. Let's.
I was going to say, before we go, I do just want to give quick shout outs to my brother for helping keep the account going.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And then to all of the viewers that always tune in and support, and then they supported here. Lau, I'm looking at you. Wolf, thank you for setting up that Excel spreadsheet and just being awesome. Big Mac, everybody, Fortune, thank you all for being lovable pains in my ass. So you guys rock.
Oh, hey, you heard it from him. He loves you guys, so keep watching his back. He streams because of you, and I got your back too, man.
Much love. Thank you.
Much love, man. Oh, wait. Damn it. Friggin' raid. I'm trying. All right. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So, so guys, stay tuned for the next episode of my podcast. Not really sure when I'm going to do it, but definitely going to be planning on having another guest on here at some point. And if you like that, stay tuned. I'm also planning on doing. I'm planning on playing the entire Kingdom Hearts series, cosplaying as Xemnas. So if you want to tune into that, we'd love to have you. So everybody, take care of yourselves. You're beautiful. Stay safe, and I will catch you next time.
Love you all.
All right.